Welcome back to Week in Horror. This week we're going through March 22nd through March 28th. Thank you all once again for joining us. I'm Eugene, and with me today as always is Alex and JL.
What's up, people?
How's it going?
It has been insane.
Yes, it has been insane as of late.
I mean, wow. With everything that's been going on, things are being shut down. People are getting really scared. People are getting laid off. I mean, I don't think anybody expected it to be like this.
Man, and on top of all of this stuff happening too, like the last week has just been like straight foggy and gloomy out all day long. So it's just been so apocalyptic. Everything is empty. Like I thought it was all like a joke, and then I went to 2 stores and the shelves are completely bare, and it was like kind of scary.
Yeah, it was weird. The other day I was at work and I was up on the 3rd floor and I looked out and it was just like that like kind of like a fog had rolled in.
Yeah, but it lasted all fucking day. It never went away.
And it was all I could hear was the Silent Hill music in my head. It was like this isn't right.
Oh, we gotta watch out for the Purge. It's in 2 days, 3 days.
I know the streets are going to be clear. Also, can hear that.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
You bought toilet paper. You should have been buying ammo.
Get the shotgun.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild out here. I know that we're in different parts of the state of Texas, but I know with word that the Texas National Guard is mobilizing, and
I thought that was a joke too.
Our governor Greg Abbott is doing it's just suspending stuff about car registration.
Yeah, the registration laws. He suspended the law. Like, okay, what's really going on here?
And then I think with the government entertaining this freeze on rent and mortgage payments through April, and then of course entertaining the UBI being sent out in order to kind of float people while people are stuck at home, because we got lockdowns all over the place. We have curfews and lockdowns, pretty much all over the nation.
San Francisco's on 24-hour lockdown.
I know myself. We have 2 people out sick at my work. We don't know if they have the coronavirus or not, because they couldn't confirm whether these individuals were in contact with anybody who currently had the virus, so they won't test them.
They won't test you unless you're old and dying.
Yeah, or unless they can absolutely confirm that you were in contact with someone they know has it. So if they can't confirm it, then they pretty much just recommend self-quarantine.
I know up in Minnesota, even healthcare workers, even if they are exposed to it, they're supposed to keep working for 72 hours or until they become symptomatic. So they're telling these people to go to work, even if they've been in contact with the coronavirus. And so that's just terrifying, because it's like, okay, they literally need everybody that they have.
And that's one of the,
you can't leave.
And that's one of the reasons why they're activating the National Guard, is just to get more personnel, because now you start getting medics and army doctors that are coming in to try to help, staff some of these hospitals and deal with this.
Yeah, it's wild. From what I understand, Europe is like 2 or 3 weeks behind Italy, and Italy is like a fucking shit show right now. And I know Europe is a couple of weeks behind them, and that we're like 3 or 4 weeks behind Europe. So it's quite possible that the worst has even yet to hit us here in the States. So
no, it takes a while.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah, it's it was 8 to 10 days the other day, they said, and then.
Well, there's a good thing, because if we get quarantined and we get stuck at home, then we could just do the podcast.
We just fucking record podcasts all the time.
We just record shit. It'd be fucking sweet. Special coronavirus episode. It'd be awesome. So I do know that
drinking Coronas.
I do know. I do have some bad news. I know myself, I do not have coronavirus that I know of, but unfortunately, we had a special guest scheduled tonight. A wonderful actress who's a very, very good friend of mine. Hopefully, we'll be able to get her in on another episode. But she had some people in her close family get diagnosed. They were tested positive for coronavirus. So things got crazy and they got on lockdown. So this thing is even in some ways affecting us. You know, like we're not even. This isn't even like this. We're all at home, and we can feel the effect here. So hopefully we'll be able to reschedule with our special guest. I don't want to spoil who it is because I want to make sure that it's a surprise when we get him on. But hopefully we'll be able to reschedule and get someone in. But yeah, it's even affecting us to a small degree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's you can scroll down on your feed and that's all you see is just updates and people worrying about it and people talking about it. And what's really scary is so many people have lost their jobs, losing their
everybody's
jobs.
getting laid off. I know a few people that got laid off yesterday.
I know there's going to be a lot of mom and pops that are not going to survive this.
Yeah, they're not.
It's just insane. And then I don't know if you saw, I actually know somebody that is stationed over in Italy right now in the Navy. And you have to have like a pass from officials to like leave your house. He's on the military base and he still has to have permission to like leave his house. And so like, wild. Yeah, they've quarantined everybody inside. And it's nuts. And there was a video that went around. It was viral. It was actually kind of sad. And it was all these people that were like, you know, we were doing the same thing everybody else is doing. We were like, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And they're like, fucking trust us. It's fucking bad. Like, fucking wash your hands. Stay away from people. Get fucking ready. And so it was like, oh, that's creepy.
So wild. Well,
and then of course an asteroid's supposed to fucking pass by in like an hour. And, you know,
yeah, like,
fucking hit the planet. I'm in a fucking tornado watch. I'm over here just fucking full of cold beer and lots of fear.
I think originally that asteroid was supposed to pass us, and now they're suspected it may airburst, so we may get a show. No, it's pretty thick cloud cover out here where I am.
Yeah, because there's a fucking tornado.
Yeah, so we may not see anything. It's hard to tell. But if the window in my office lights up all of a sudden, I'll know what the fuck happened.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. I was gonna like talk like we're fucking live right now. Like, don't look at it.
But yeah, who knows? Yeah, that thing is supposed to cross about 10:13 p.m. So here in about an hour from the time that we're recording this. So who knows? Maybe our podcast, maybe our audience will hear something live. But
so I was reading up on the whole thing on like the NASA's what is it, NEMOS or whatever, the Near Earth Object people.
Yeah.
And so I was reading up on those guys because it was really cool. And I was thinking about it like, man, how does the space station not get hit by asteroids all the time? I'm like, oh, that whole team's fucking monitoring it like all the time. Like, that's kind of a cool job. Watch out, we got a roid coming in fucking 12 o'clock, 10,000 miles an hour, adjust course 3/16 of an inch to the left.
Yep, every piece of debris they track.
They do.
That's so cool.
So who knows what's going to happen? But as to kind of reiterate, we put out a special message to our audience last week, or just before the last episode went live, and we'll just reiterate that number one, we're super thankful that y'all are still with us, that y'all are listening, especially in these trying times. I know we try to be as entertaining as possible and also informative to our filmmaker friends who are listening. We hope we give you a laugh, especially in these tough times. So we can't thank you enough for staying with us. And also, be kind, watch each other's backs, try to stay, be safe, take the basic precautions. Don't freak out, don't panic, but definitely be cautious. We can't stress that enough for anybody. Just, the simple things. Wash your hands, practice social distancing, do whatever you can, and hopefully we will get through this it won't be so extreme. Hopefully we won't descend into the third circle like Italy has, so...
Well, and that's why we've shut everything down early, and just obey the fucking rules. It's really simple. Take a fucking break, slow down, do some of the shit that you've been putting off. Like, find your fucking balance, because we're gonna have to come back at this 10 times harder. So, let's work together and not against each other.
Absolutely.
Remember, all this craziness. Everybody's turning to the artists now because people are listening to podcasts. Cam girls are seeing a giant in their work. Movie studios are putting shit out early on VOD. So, like, I know this Friday, which is going to be the 20th. Yeah, this Friday the 20th, The Invisible Man and The Hunt are both going to be released early on VOD for those people who are stuck at home and get to watch it. So, remember, when the shit hits the fan, everybody turns to the artists to help carry them along, to help get them through the dark times. So
hey, and
hopefully we're able to. hopefully we're able
Absolutely.
to
Support those guys too, like, you know, small businesses and people that are not, you know, doing okay right now. Go support those guys. Big box stores are fucking fine. They're sitting on billions. Stay away from that chaos. Go to some, and you know, going to those little stores too. You're staying away from a lot of other people, and you're putting money where it needs to be.
And you're helping supporting, you know, like families and neighbors and stuff like that. And you know, I know we all shop at Walmart and stuff like that, but you know, the Walton family isn't gonna lose anything out of this. But you know, neighbors, community members, stuff like that, that really, really rely on that income, and especially the workers also that work there. You know, help support them out, kind of thing. You know, once this thing finally settles down, because it will pass at some point, it will. Shop at some of those places. Show your gratitude towards them. You know, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, you know, it could be a little bit more expensive here and there, but that keeps money locally. It keeps it in the economy. And, you know, and if you're a business owner, you spend some of your money at another business and they can return a favor by buying some of your product also. So it can be like a trade that goes back and forth kind of thing.
Hell yeah. You got to put your money in that, you know, that industry.
Absolutely. So hang in there, everybody. You know, follow the instructions and be safe out there. If you do feel sick, you know, quarantine yourself, do what you need to do. But you know what? We're not here to talk about diseases and stuff like that. We're actually here to talk about some movies.
Yes, we are.
And Alex,
What is that? What we do here?
oh yeah, you know, we've talked about one or two movies over, you know,
on occasion.
yeah, over the 20+ episodes, something like that. So,
Damn, isn't this like 26?
is it 26? Oh man, you know, these things add up.
This is episode 20. Yeah, episode
26. All right, well, Alex, you know, kick us off. What do we got?
All right. We're going to stay pretty new with this first one, coming out March 22nd, 2019. So, you know, a year old this year. The movie Us came out, and I believe it was after Get Out, correct?
Yeah, like 2 years after Get Out, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Written and directed by Jordan Peele, starring Lupita, I'm going to butcher this, Nyong'o. Winston Duke, Elizabeth Moss is in this one, Tim Heidecker is a douchebag in this one, it's awesome. And then the kids were Shahadi Wright Joseph and Evan Alex. And this movie follows a family that goes on vacation to a cabin. There's a dark past with the town, and these doppelgangers show up in this family's life and try to murder them. And yeah, it was pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good movie. I actually just recently saw it. This is the first time I ever saw it. So, I mean, it wasn't like, I wouldn't call it great. It had a cool concept and a nice twist in it, but I don't know. Kind of lackluster after Get Out, if you ask me.
Yeah, and also I watched it recently too, and I did enjoy it. And this one, it has more of the horror feel than Get Out, because Get Out comes across more as a thriller. Even though it has some horror elements, it's a thriller. This one is just a straight up no shit horror movie.
For sure. I feel like they could have done a little bit better with, like, I guess the overall feel of the movie. Because, like, I expected some, like, almost paranormal shit from these, you know, these doppelgangers because of their, like, story. But, yeah, no, like, you know, there was no creepy movements. They didn't make any, like, really super creepy, I don't know. It could have been scarier, I guess, is my issue.
Yeah, you get some cool moments with the kid kind of thing, because he's like, you know, he like crawls around, is kind of freakish a little bit kind of thing. And it was kind of cool when you first see the family, the doppelgangers, and they have like the street lamp behind them. And
yeah, that was kind of creepy.
Yeah,
when they were on the
we're on the driveway.
There's a family outside. Yeah. There's not a family outside. Oh.
I do like it. If you want to get crazy, we could get crazy.
Dude, that was kind of creepy when he made the ticking noises and the kids fucking scurried off. Would have been like, well, we're fucking dead.
But it
yeah, overall, I mean, like, I remember this thing being so hyped up, and I never even saw either of those movies, and I watched it and I was kind of almost underwhelmed.
Well, I think overall the film fell victim to its overhype, And Get Out was so good, and while Get Out had its horror moments, it really was more of a psychological horror to me, with creepy, trippy visuals, and the underlying sense of dread that came throughout. So I would consider it more of a psychological horror, whereas Us was definitely more of a standard horror. But the hype after Get Out was so successful and won so many awards, and the storytelling was so phenomenal in it, that when Us came out, I don't think any sophomore effort could ever rise up to any kind of hype, especially when the hype is so big, especially off of something like Get Out. And the film suffered for it. And you can't help but want to run with that and try to, but you lose something. And I don't know, I can't say from personally if Jordan Peele actually tried to meet the hype, because everybody was waiting for his next film. Get Out was so great and such a powerfully effective movie that when all of a sudden we saw the first images, like the poster for Us came out, and then like little bits and pieces of it. Visually, it was absolutely stunning. But I think either the hype got to him, or maybe the hype just kind of overwhelmed audiences, and they went in expecting something huge that was just gonna top Get Out, and we kind of we're kind of let down. I mean, I hate to say it, Us was not a bad movie. The problem is that when you start really thinking about it, after I watched it the first time and I was blown away. Lupita Nyong'o was phenomenal. She was so good. Okay, and everyone played their roles to perfection. The problem is, after I got done watching, I started thinking about it, and it literally started falling apart.
Seriously, there was two things that got me, and I won't spoil the whole scenes, but when they're I forgot her name in the movie, when the mom is downstairs with her doppelganger tied to the bed or whatever, and then it kind of starts, you kind of get what's going on, but then it really made no sense. I don't know if they were trying to throw you off. And then, it all came right back around to what you were thinking. And it was okay, well, what was that whole middle part for? So that got me, because I was whatever. And then when the boy is standing by the fire, he controls the other boy. I'm if that's a thing, then why?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Why wouldn't you just use that? Because, at some points they have to follow the exact movements. But then at some points they don't.
You could almost say that he fell prey to the kind of M. Night Shyamalan curse.
Yeah.
In that Shyamalan, with Sixth Sense.
Except it was a super prolonged twist, though. It was
yeah, exactly. It's
okay, we get it.
We have this big twist, and we have to bury it. And the burying it, because they had to bury it so deep, because something like that would, if you are not careful with how you shoot things, that's going to get out really, really fast, and people are going to realize what's happening, or realize this one particular part of the plot. People go, oh, I got that immediately. Hey, Bruce Willis is dead. He was dead the whole time. It's not going to be a big twist that's going to explode at the end in the third act, but people are going to be seeing it, and they're going to be they're arguably going to have a completely different experience watching the movie than anybody who doesn't get it get it right out of the gate. So they spent so much time, or I think Peele spent so much time trying to bury that twist, that we recognized that there was going to be a twist. We may not have known exactly what it was going to be, but we knew something was going to happen. Which is why when the twist finally occurred, we realized, oh, they actually swapped at the very, very beginning of the film in the prologue. It was oh.
Spoiler alert.
Fuck. Jesus.
Well, people have seen this movie.
It's only a year old. As of today, it's not even a year old.
It is a year old.
Yeah, you got the 5-year rule. You got to wait 5 years.
When this episode comes out, I guess it will be. Sorry, time is such a fucking construct now that we've just been quarantined from the world. It's who gives a shit what time it is?
But okay, if I spoiled it, I apologize. We try not to spoil things here at Week in Horror. But I'm good. This movie was so hyped. I'm assuming majority of people saw it. But if I saw that twist coming, and it was just people who are observant are going to pick that up, and it's going to alter the experience. Not to mention the overwhelming plot holes that exist throughout this film. and it's just mired with plot holes that didn't exist in Get Out, but all of a sudden they exist here. Once you really start thinking about it, which I think kind of pulled me out of it.
Yeah, because the one thing, and just going over like, in comparison to Get Out to us, when I watch Get Out, I actually picture like a modern day Alfred Hitchcock feel to it. Like if Hitchcock made a movie today, Get Out is what it would be. Like, I mean, just straight up, not even changing music or cast or anything like that. Like, it just reeks of Hitchcock's influences, kind of thing. And I know Peele's a huge horror fan, and I think it was something along the lines of like, well, this one needs to be more horror oriented, more scary, or something like that. And so he kind of tried to appeal to it instead of going on his own style. I think he's going to be more like the Twilight Zone, the more psychological horror, instead of trying to go straight modern horror on it. But the thing is there are a lot of plot holes in this movie. And if you really look and you break down with movies, there's plot holes in every movie. Some are bigger than others. Right? Some are.
Unfortunately, with this one, you could drive it.
Yeah, some of them are pretty bad, and that's the thing. It's like I don't want to spoil and like, oh, look for this, look for this, look for this, look for this, because then if somebody who hasn't seen it, who already knows the ending at this point, right, is gonna go, oh, well, that scene, I see what they're talking about, instead of trying to just watch it. But you have to really focus on the story that is being told. And like I said, if you go into any film and you're like, I'm going to go look for plot holes, you will not enjoy it at all. Those people who look for errors and mistakes and all this other kind of stuff, like, you can't enjoy watching it. As long as a story is able to grab you and go along, and, you're going to have those moments that's kind of like okay, you're kind of pushing it. All right, a little bit, but okay, fine. Brad Pitt survived the plane crash in World War Z. I'll give it to you, but we'll keep going on that. Yeah, that one kind of thing.
No, I totally agree with you though. But this one had a lot of plot holes. But if a story means something to you, you can overlook those kinds of things. I guess I just wasn't so invested in the actual. There wasn't enough info in the story on the background of all of it. It was just kind of all like a breakdown over the last couple of years. Like, how long has this been going on? I want to know more.
Yeah, it's a.
How does it work?
If you compare Get Out with Us, and I'm pretty certain with his next movie coming out, Antebellum, okay, that it's the importance of storytelling. Now, I'm willing to concede that it's quite possible Jordan Peele does psychological horror better than he does straight horror. Okay, which is why Antebellum looks like it's kind of a return back to the psychological horror.
Better, more like the Midsommar stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we've already seen throughout his entire comedic career that Jordan Peele and his partner and Keegan-Michael Key, that the two of them have a powerful grasp on the psychology of performance, whether it be comedy or horror or psychology. They're very, very cerebral storytellers. So if the story itself is cerebral, like Get Out was, like Antebellum most likely will be, then we could see they're in their wheelhouse. But when it comes to a straight just horror story, just like legit horror story, like almost a legit slasher, there may have been issues there where he wanted to get that kind of cerebral storyline in there, but when you're working in the slasher genre, that definitely pushes some stuff out, because slasher is very, very simple to do. It's a rather shallow subgenre. You have, slasher A killing everyone else B. It's pretty much it. Then you got to find motivation, you got to find reason, and you pretty much tack those in. And then Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and you're good. You're standard Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. But when you try to make it as cerebral as Get Out, where people are supposed to think about these things, people are supposed to really dive down and start thinking about what they're saying, but at the same time balance that with all the terror of being chased around and hunted by people that look like you, and where do they come from and what's going on. It's almost like the comic book movie curse, trying to fit too many villains in like in the third one. Like, we every movie that comes out that like Spider-Man had one, and then Spider-Man 2 had two bad guys, and Spider-Man 3
Who the fuck is this sand guy?
had a bunch of, I was like, okay, cramming a bunch of villains into a film doesn't make it better. Cramming a whole bunch of cerebral stuff while we're also trying to pay attention to the tension and the horror that's going on in the slasher flick, which is more a visual experience than a cerebral experience. Okay, one divests you and one invests you, and trying to cram all that into one may have been the downfall. While Us was still a good movie, I just don't think it holds up like Get Out does.
Hey, you know what? We'll see how Antebellum is, and we'll just base it off of that. Third one's a...
Yeah, we'll see how he does on his third film.
Third time's a charm. That's what I'm.
Yeah, I definitely think, the third time's a charm. Maybe he kind of ventured out a little bit and was like, you know what? I don't think this works. I'm going to go right back to my bread and butter. Because the thing is with Peele is able to manipulate how people think while watching a film. And he has proven time and time again, he knows exactly what you're thinking while you're watching his product, and is able to flip that when he wants to.
Put your name down.
That's extremely evident in the Twilight Zone series that he produced. Okay, because he was behind that, and he was kind of like the new Rod Serling. I watched those. I watched those on CBS. Yes, I got the CBS edition in order to watch those because I love his fucking work. Not to mention, he's got a series coming out on HBO called Lovecraft Country.
Nice.
Or Lovecraft County, which is basically a period piece where a black man is trying to travel basically across country through the South during Jim Crow era, and then throw in Lovecraft monsters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's based on a book. The book is called Lovecraft County, and so he's doing a series for HBO based on that. So, and I mean, he'll have HBO money behind him, which is phenomenal money to have. So
That's some good money.
And HBO, and unlike Disney, HBO lets you pretty much get away with anything you fucking want, as long as you can draw an audience. So I'm really looking forward to that. So his influence is palpable. You can see it, and he's one of the reasons, like Get Out, like Midsummer, like Hereditary, like I would think I'd be remiss to say that Jordan Peele. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Jordan Peele was the kind of gatekeeper to a new level or a new genre of horror films. That he gave it to us. His brilliance brought this to us. Okay, but even the brilliant stumble on occasion. So we'll see. That's why I consider Us, and we'll see. Rectify that with Antebellum, which
I'm looking forward to it too. Yes.
All right, so I guess we can ask the audience, kind of, which style do you think he should continue with? Did you like Get Out better? Did you like Us? Let us know. Send us an email. Talk to us. We're lonely here in the quarantine.
All by myself.
I'm about to talk over. We can't even go to the studio.
I'll tell you, I loved Get Out. I don't know why, but I know that Eugene will probably think he knows why. But Get Out made me very uncomfortable.
I think the facial expressions that they did, the acting was phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
it was. Everyone
the
in
facial
that was
expressions and everything that was supposed to happen in these people.
Even when she's on the stairs and she is hunting for, he's like, get the keys, and she's like, I'm looking, and she's got that look on her face like, wow, she's looking for it, and then
she's really looking for it,
and then she just goes just fucking dead, just fucking dead face. I was like, oh fuck. And you knew that she
just that switch right off. I mean, his performance, just in the scene where he's getting hypnotized, and she's just sinking to the floor, kind of thing. And I mean, just him staring at the camera and just tears coming down his face is it's an iconic shot now.
It's a powerful film. It made me. I know I'm sitting there watching a movie. Suspension of disbelief. I'm totally wrapped up in the film. I'm just like, I am so engrossed, and I was like, is this Jordan Peele's intention was to engross me so much that I'm watching this movie and I start feeling really, really conscious.
Like, oh fuck, dude,
like,
did I lock the doors?
I'm like way too fucking aware of the situation at this point. But it's a great fucking movie, and I'm kind of like, looking around at other people, and other people like looking at me, and I'm like, don't look at me.
Stop looking at me.
But such a brilliant film, and that was my favorite too. Now I liked the spectacle of Us. I really did. I thought it was just it visually it's just very arresting. Okay, but I think it's just kind of as far as it went.
Yeah, I agree.
I think so. I mean, I don't know. It was an early film in his directing career, so I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I'd like him to keep him coming either way. He swung for it, and you know what? He did a damn good job.
Gotta keep it coming on. The dude is an absolute genius. So.
All right. Well, now that you were just dogging on like traditional slasher tropes, why don't you take the next one?
I am gonna take the next one. I will, and this I will bring this guilty pleasure of mine up.
Really?
Yes, this bad boy came out March 22nd, 1985. Man, I was 5 years old when this bad boy released.
I wasn't even alive.
Awesome. Which is awesome. I was 5 years old, and this was 5 years old because this is Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning.
So many fives.
So many so far.
You got to stop with all the fives. Yeah. We're social distancing. No more fives.
All right, well, Friday the 13th Part 5 was directed by Danny Steinman. For those who don't recognize the name, director with a bit of a past, very much known for his trashy, very teen-sploitation films that he came out, which is pretty much why he was tapped for Friday the 13th Part 5.
Hey, we're trying some new shit. Why don't you come over here and fucking do something?
Right. He was working off of a screenplay by Martin Kidrosser, David Cohen, and Danny Steinman helped to flesh that out. And then, of course, as any good slasher, you pretty much cast nobody. Because this had John Shepard, who was Tommy Jarvis, and also starred Melanie Kinnaman, Shavar Ross, Richard Young, Tiffany Helm, and Julia Cummins, and a host of other individuals that nobody knew who they were, except for one, save for a very young Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so absolutely cool. I got to drop this in there. Corey Feldman played the young Tommy Jarvis, okay? And the scenes that were kind of like a flashback scene, okay, because this film shot at the same time as The Goonies, and they only had Corey Feldman on loan on Sundays because Sundays was his only off day. So he literally so all the scenes with Corey Feldman were shot in his backyard at home with a rain machine
on a Sunday. Like, fuck, I gotta get out of bed.
That's how they inserted him into this film for the little flashback sequences because they had him so briefly. But yeah, the only named actor who was in the whole deal. But basically, Friday the 13th Part 5 picked up the story of pretty much Friday the 13th after the end of 4. 4 was supposed to be the final nightmare, or the final Friday, and Jason was supposedly dead. Then all of a sudden, a group of I wouldn't really say teens. These were more like adults. Wind up at Crystal Lake, and it's now a kind of halfway house work program summer thing that people are going to. It's court-ordered shit, combination therapy and stuff. And there's a murder. One of the attendees murders another attendee, and then all of a sudden, a new Jason pops up, and wearing a different mask because this particular mask was the white one with the blue triangles on it, which was different from all the other ones because the other ones typically have the three red triangles. And so he shows up and starts murdering everybody, and it's extraordinarily trashy and extraordinarily violent. Lots of really, really good shit.
Fucking extraordinarily.
Because I mean, how much can you really summarize a Friday the 13th film? People show up, people are idiots, people fuck, people do drugs, and then the dude in the hockey match shows up and starts murdering the fuck out of everybody.
Dude, it happens all the fucking time.
Yeah. So I won't spoil the twist at the end. I know that many of you know it, but the Friday the 13th series Friday the 13th franchise is particularly special to me. And so if you have
so you don't fucking spoil.
I was going to say the same thing. Don't want to spoil the 1985
like, this one from fucking 1985 movie, like whatever.
This shit's like 35 fucking years old.
He takes off the fucking mask and he's John Cena. Sorry.
John Cena. Dun, 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 dun.
You can't see me.
Because he puts the mask on, you can't see him. Oh, but anyhow, but that's pretty much the rundown of the movie. But it's got to be said that apparently, despite the fact that the movie is actually a success, because people were clamoring for more Friday the 13th, they were going to end the franchise at 4. The fan base wanted it so bad, and so they brought this director on, and they directed this thing. It was not directed when they were shooting the movie. Nobody knew. None of the cast knew it was going to be the next Friday the 13th, because it was cast and it was being pre-production under the title Repetition. Okay,
that's actually fucking hilarious.
And so nobody knew it was going to be a new Friday the 13th film until they were on set, ready to shoot. And that's when they found out, and that's when a lot of the actors were like, "Oh my god, this is going to be bullshit." And then, of course, the director that they had, Steinman, with his history of the kinds of films that he had done, apparently, as a lot of the actors thought that basically he just shot a Friday the 13th porno, because there was so much nudity and so many sex scenes and graphic shit that got cut. Obviously, to keep the R rating and everything, but there was so much shit that got cut out from the film that he had shot, and everyone knew it was trashy. Everyone knew it. Everybody believed that the movie was going to suck and it was not going to make any money, but it did. It did make money, but unfortunately the production was so troubled that it was Steinman's last film, which was sad.
Yeah, they so they originally wanted to end it with 4, because 4 has that like cement ending, like boom, this is Jason's head right here, right? Dead. I remember it's like a machete or something, like slide down on the machete through the fucking head, or like sliding down the machete. Yeah. Like it's like boom, this is it, this is done, this is his grave, right? And it should have left it, should have been done, all this other kind of stuff, but fans clamored for another one. Like another one, and do it again. Studios they're not gonna turn down money, kind of thing like this. And so it was like they basically just put something together just to put something in the can. You're gonna get a director that's an adult director. Yeah, definitely on the verge of being an adult director, like literally towing the line with sexploitation. And right off the bat, when you're saying like, oh well, people think, oh, right off the bat, this is gonna be bullshit. Like this is gonna be, you gotta hide. You can take a franchise like Friday the 13th, and you have to hide the name from your production, your cast, so that they'll do the film. That should tell you something, like right off the bat, how they felt about it, kind of thing. But this.
Yeah, we don't know about this.
Yeah. But this is what happens with a lot of franchises, where they start listening to the fans. You can listen to the fans up to a certain point whenever you are doing a franchise, but you can't just, oh, well, the fans want this, the fans want this, the fans want this, and give them exactly what everybody wants, because then you get this hodgepodge, mismesh, no vision, no style, no direction behind it, and you get like a sex exploitation with not even Jason. Yeah. Not even.
Yeah, that was the big
Friday the 13th with no Jason. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yes, a Friday without a Jason. That's just it seems impossible, but yes, dear listeners, it did happen. A Friday the 13th that had no Jason. There, I fucking spoiled it. Are you fucking happy now, guys?
We spoil every movie.
You kind of had to if you're going to dive into the fact that there was no fucking Jason in this movie.
Yes, as it turns out, at the end, that apparently the kid that was killed at the very beginning of the film, because there's a kid that's murdered, and then the ambulance drivers show up, they realize, oh, he's dead, and they're like that, so they take his body away, and then all of a sudden Jason shows up and starts fucking murdering people. Well, it turns out that Jason was actually one of the ambulance technicians. The ambulance technician was the father of the guy the teenager who got killed, who was murdered. and he came back to get revenge on everybody there, and just fucking went psycho and started murdering everybody.
So you didn't have to ruin the whole fucking movie, man.
Shut the fuck up. It's a little bit of a twist. Obviously, they try to twist it up right there, but obviously, a Friday with no Jason. And while the movie did make money, it was a financial success. Obviously, there was some fan backlash.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was still a hockey masked killer. And, Corey Feldman.
Yes, because...
That's it.
I mean, what more did you need in 85?
It was super simple. I actually, a lot of people I know at the time, when people figured out that it wasn't Jason, it wasn't exactly a lot of repeat viewings. People were upset. We have another film that we're going to be talking about here shortly where the same kind of thing, people didn't expect it. But looking back, I do see it as kind of a subversion of the genre. They could have given us another Friday. They could have given us more Jason. They could have, expanded the storyline a little bit more. But because we didn't get Jason in Friday the 13th Part 5, because we didn't get him, we got a whole new story set, and the only common denominator was Crystal Lake.
Okay? It was supposed to spawn 3 more movies, a new trilogy.
There you go. But much like Season of the Witch, okay?
Yeah,
because Season of the Witch was supposed to take Halloween and turn it into an anthology series where every year there'd be a new Halloween film that took on a different story.
Right.
But Season of the Witch did not play, so we got Return of Michael Myers in Part 4, which is exactly what happened in this one, because in Part 6, we got what is arguably, what some people think is the best Friday the 13th film ever made was Part 6. Personally, for me, it's Part 7, but a lot of people say Part 6 because the real Jason was back. It had the highest body count of all the Friday the 13th, and some of the best kills in it. Although the sleeping bag kill was in 7 is arguably the best.
That kill's amazing.
It's the greatest.
But, we're basically Jason wakes up, he's in the graveyard, he gets resurrected, and then it's basically Jason walks from point A to point B, and everyone in between fucking dies.
Just explodes.
Okay? I mean, come on, that RV scene?
I keep forgetting all the kills that are in that movie, and you keep saying it. I'm like, oh, yeah.
The RV scene is fucking amazing.
Those are all in the same movie, weren't they?
Just that fucking shot when he grabs the chick and he sticks her face in there. And then the actor who played him in 6, it is probably the next best to Kane Hodder, because Kane Hodder gave Jason his voice with his physical portrayal.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But the dude in 6 had this just focused, sleek, just unstoppable killer shit going on, just like the real hunter, because he was kind of dressed like a hunter.
Yeah.
He had the full one. He had the tool belt. He had the hunting knife and the gloves on and everything. It was like, well, he was kind of like he was out doing a hunt, and it was I liked 6. I like 7 the best, but 6 had its moments, and of course the highest body count out of all. But we wouldn't have gotten any of that were it not for 5.
If those fucking kids at camp weren't such an asshole to him.
Exactly. And it's so fucked up. It's like the fat kid eating a candy bar who's really fucking annoying meets the dude who obviously has extreme rage issues while he's chopping wood with a fucking axe. And then the annoying guy is annoying the fuck out of the rage guy. It was like, oh my god, how long is it going to take for him to... And he keeps getting more angry with every swing of the axe. It's like, oh shit, this kid's going to fucking get it.
He's going to die.
But a guilty pleasure of mine, I do enjoy Part 5. I like, even though I know it's not Jason, I like where they went with it. I like it's the kind of expansion to the legend, where we technically don't need a Jason to have a good Friday the 13th, which is why I really love Friday the 13th, the series, which had nothing to do with Crystal Lake, nothing to do with Jason. The only reason it was called Friday the 13th, the series, was to bank on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, just that franchise name.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to make a quick, whatever it was? I mean, I think it only grossed 21 million. I think they spent 8 on it, but,
It's still making money.
Quick couple mil.
Yeah.
Still money. And it was enough to warrant a 6, and a 7, and an 8, and a 9, and a 10, and a Versus, and a reboot.
A whole bunch
Him
of
in
other
space.
indie film.
Him versus
Yeah.
Freddy
Spin-off.
Cougar.
So that's where I have to ask. I have to ask the audience: should this franchise continue? I love Friday the 13th. I really fucking do. Friday the 13th. Kane Hodder is my favorite Jason. I adore him. I love it as an actor, what he brought to the role. I love all of the films. I thought they pushed boundaries. It is my absolute favorite slasher franchise is Friday the 13th. When they did the reboot, I was very sad because the production changed Jason's backstory to try and make him more sympathetic. And I'm sorry, there is nothing sympathetic about Jason fucking Voorhees. There is nothing. So
Just a little whiny bitch.
and that remake came out in 2009.
I think they could probably, with the new Halloween's coming out, they could probably get something.
Maybe.
I mean, but given certain things, we know that Robert Englund is not going to return for Nightmare on Elm Street. He's not going to be Freddy again. He's getting too old for the role. That obviously happens. But will we get a new Freddy? We don't know. A Jackie Earle Haley, not bad, but really didn't carry the torch. So will we get another Friday 13th? Will we get another Nightmare? We don't know. Will we get another Friday the 13th? Don't know. I know that the rights for the original Friday the 13th, the rights of the characters, Jason Voorhees, and there were so many different rights. There was the rights of the character with the hockey mask. There was the rights of the kid who drowned in the lake. There was the rights for the Camp Crystal Lake location. There was a big rights war between the producers and the original writer of the first one. And that whole lawsuit, all that legal bullshit is the reason why we didn't get anything after 2009. Is because there was, rights reverted back to people, and then there was a giant fight. So we don't know if we're going to get one. Right now, we can say that Friday the 13th continues on in some amazing fan films on YouTube.
Oh yeah, dude, there's some good ones out there.
Yeah, too many to count. I wish I could give them all, props or give them all shout outs. But there are a bunch. And there's more coming. Some of them have production values that rival even the studio films.
Nice.
They look really fucking good. Sometimes, and I mean, you'll get Jason versus Michael. I watched a fan film which was literally almost half an hour of just Jason fighting
That was
Michael.
So badass.
And
Sounds
the
like a
two
good
of them
show.
kicked the living shit out of one another. This wasn't something quick, ooh, and then it's over. No, it was just straight ooh, I see you. Let's fuck each other up for
fucking fight for half an hour.
Oh, and it was just then a bunch of guys.
You ready to go
up.
6 rounds, bitch?
And so, I mean, there's a plethora of fan-made stuff out there which is keeping the character alive just for the love of the franchise. But studio-wise, should this franchise continue? Do you think it does? Does it have a future? Should we get another reboot? Should we get another remake? Should they try to do a sequel to the one that Michael Bay produced? Or should they just leave it alone and just leave it to the fans? Let the fans keep making the magic. I'd like to know what the audience thinks.
All right, I'd like to take this fresh pause in between our movies here tonight and give you a live update on the continuing situation that is Texas. It's pouring rain outside. I just sneezed. It's pouring rain outside, so I think I'm going to die. But I can hear hail bouncing off of the door. There's little pea-sized pieces of hail bouncing off the windows in the door. And one of the neighbors just fucking got on a lawnmower and was out in their yard. So I'm not really sure what the fuck's going on here. But
Welcome to Texas.
we got 20 minutes until that meteor is supposed to not hit Earth.
Yeah, I've got my window open. I'm waiting to see if we see a flash of light.
There's fucking hail. The neighbor's on a fucking lawnmower. We're definitely getting hit by this meteor, dude.
Okay, but does he have his gun and a PBR?
You know what? It wouldn't fucking surprise me. I'm not going to go outside in the hail to find out, though.
Goddamn hail, get off my lawn.
Fuck you, Mother Nature. Bring it.
He's like,
I know my fucking rights.
He's like fucking Lieutenant Dan on the goddamn lawnmower.
Last time I checked, this is America.
Hey, did you see the meme that was if coronavirus takes out Tom Hanks, we're going to nuke China with a bomb called Lieutenant Dan? That was not okay, but also, You got no legs, Lieutenant Dan?
But Lieutenant Dan, you ain't got no legs. Yes, I know that.
Good times. Yeah, so that wraps up. No tornado yet, but that's where we're at.
That's good.
Mid podcast pandemic check.
Yes,
everybody's still alive. I just sneezed.
Everyone's still locked down.
I'm already
still
done.
stuck where we are.
I'm just waiting for the power to go out and just like get disconnected. Like, did he die?
I'm waiting more for like the scream where it's like, wait, ah!
So, anyways, the next movie. God, I wouldn't doubt it, man. Just the show must go on. If I get taken out by something, just keep it going.
But continuing the tradition of films that kind of pulled the rug out from underneath you, Eugene, what do we have next?
All right, so we got this little gem that came out March 27th, 1986, right, with a huge impact on, or I guess a different, unique take on the genre, and that is the movie April Fool's Day, right? Directed by Fred Walton and starring Jay Baker, Deborah Foreman, Deborah Goodrich, right? And basically, it's kind of like a run-of-the-mill kind of a slasher film, except, with April Fool's gags, where you have, the group of teenagers that go out in the middle, secluded, nice cabin and everything like that, and they kind of start pulling pranks because it's April Fool's, and then all of a sudden things start getting out of hand, and, people start dying. Kind of thing.
Yes, when the April Fool's jokes elicit a body count, we could say that's officially out of it.
Is it though?
Things have not gone according to plan.
Or maybe they have.
Well, I don't know. Are we allowed to spoil this one? Can we spoil it?
I think we could. Yes, I think we could spoil this one because it follows in line with Friday Part 5.
So, like, okay, there wasn't a whole lot of movies out. Like, movies had twist endings and stuff like that. But this movie in particular, after going through the entire film and coming to the end and finding out that it was all just a joke, it's so funny. And it was like, what the fuck, man? Everybody's dead. Like, that poor girl. But I'm sure M. Night Shyamalan saw this. It's probably where he started getting his ideas for, like, the twist ending. It's probably where it started. But, yeah, and then, she goes up into the bedroom and she's like, ha, ha, ha. And then the Jack in the Box, and you're like, oh, fuck. And then she gets her fucking throat cut, and you're like, oh, my God. And then it's still just a joke. And you're like, really? I thought we were fucking over this.
I fooled you.
Got me again. And then the fucking Jack in the Box winks at the fucking camera, like breaking some fourth wall weird bull. And then you're like, wait, what? Hold on. There's a whole nother fucking story there. Go back.
The supernatural Jack in the Box.
Where the fuck did that thing come from?
That's what Alex wants to know about.
What the fuck? Because I just wasted an hour and a half on some fucking terrible joke. That poor fucking girl.
I'm sorry we traumatized you for life.
Everybody was fucking dead.
It's so fucked up and fucking severed heads and shit in the basement.
Dude, it was so fucked up. The whole thing, you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, really? And then they're like, oh my god, and then you're like, oh. And then you're confused. I don't know. Great.
That was the old to break it down for those interested, those curious. We've danced around it so much, but we got to break it down. Basically, the film starts off as your standard slasher fare, and the teens show up. They're doing this party thing at this kind of like secluded resort style place. Then the bodies start dropping. Everything is crazy. The one final girl, who is it? Nikki.
I think that's her name. No,
it was
Nikki was Deborah Goodrich.
Oh, was it Muffy?
Oh, it was Muffy.
Yeah.
Muffy was the one that was getting the prank pulled on her.
Yes. So basically, she's terrorized. There's a killer running around. People are fucking dying. She's finding fucking heads and shit everywhere. It's all gruesome and crazy. And then in the final reveal, the whole thing was a stage rehearsal, or was like a rehearsal night for what they want to do. What they want to do is they want to turn the resort into a kind of slasher weekend. Okay, like a whole acting thing with high special effects.
Yeah,
that
there was lots of those.
People will pay to have like a slasher weekend, like a murder mystery weekend,
Hell yeah.
and that's what the whole thing was. Okay,
They're just
and
testing it out.
Exactly. This is their test to see how scary it would be, to see if this would work. And so their unwitting subject has to go through all this bullshit, and it's fucking insane. And then, on top of that, they wrap it up with, oh, wait a minute, there was a killer. Now so the whole thing was a setup to kill her. Nope, that was fake.
So
and then Alex is obsessed with the winking Jack in the Box.
like, dude, you can't just fucking put that in a movie and then not explain like any of what was really going. Is there more to that story? Did the fucking Jack in the Box actually fucking kill somebody? Because nobody actually.
No, Alex, the Jack in the Box was a middle finger to
That's
the fucking
exactly
audience.
what that was. That was Fred Walton being like, "Fuck you! I have your money
Got
now."
you, bitch.
Fuck you! Got you! Got your ticket!
Nobody
ticket.
fucking died. Nobody even died. Not even fucking acting.
You paid admission to see this.
I don't know. It was overall it was still a pretty good movie.
But I have to admit, for a horror film, for a classic slasher fare, good special effects, good deaths, it's a good addition to it. You go through the film all the way up to the third act. It was a good addition to this is your standard slasher movie. This is sorority house massacre, shit like that. It's in that vein until the very end, which in my eyes, I know a lot of people were fucking pissed when this movie came out.
Hell yeah.
And they saw that third act and they were livid. They were like, what the fuck? But looking back, maybe it's hindsight. I don't know. Maybe it's because this came out ASAP. I was 6 years old when this movie came out. I didn't see it in theaters. Obviously, my mother and father would never let me see a movie like this when I was that young. But when I did see it, it struck me as, wow. And yes, the Jack in the Box is a middle finger to the audience, but it's a very knowing middle finger. It's very much... I honestly took it as the director, as fucking Walton, completely subverting the slasher genre. Because you think about what was out at the time. This is 1986. What do we have? We could do a quick rundown of the slasher films that were out. You've got Halloween 4, okay, or Halloween, or maybe Season of the Witch was near there. But Halloween 4. You've got the Friday the 13th, Part 5. 5 Friday the 13th just came out a year previous. Okay, 6 at this point. 6 had already been announced. Okay, you've got Nightmare on Elm Street running. You've got the massacre movies that are out there. I mean, so many slasher films that were going on. This was the 80s. It was prime time for slasher films.
Stab everybody.
Exactly. And this was the one that got everybody's attention. It pissed them off, yes, but it does not matter. If you go to the movie and you're bored, if you go to the movie and it's just the standard fare and you're bored, okay, where it's like people are going to crucify me for this, but Sorority House Massacre, that if you watch that, other than the little are they dead or are they alive at the end, but that was your standard closing right before the credits twist. The only thing that changed was that the killer was wearing a clown costume at the end.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, it was like, ooh, he's in a clown, he's in like a jester costume. And that makes it even creepier. Okay? Well, that's visually striking. But if you take that away, if you take down the visual kind of like element of the third act, it's pretty much just standard fare. So all of this standard fare slasher shit is going on. People are trying to do their own thing. This was the first one that people talked about. And, it'd been such a while, since the late 70s. Slasher. Then all of a sudden, this one, April Fool's Day comes out. And people are fucking blown away. Because, number one, it wasn't what they expected. 2, the ending fucking pissed people off. But that's a good thing, because storytelling-wise, if you tell a story and people are fucking bored, and people don't talk about your movie, whether they hate it or love it, if they don't talk about shit, you failed.
Any press is good press.
Yeah.
You could say that, yeah. I mean, Eugene knows precisely what I'm talking about when it comes down to that. Being, because your filmmaking forays are more recent than mine. but you definitely want
Yeah,
that
it's
feedback.
apathy is the worst kind of feeling after a film because there's films that I've hated that I'll remember till the day I die, and obviously films that I love, but it's the films that love me some Birdemic, but but it's the films that you forget, the films that you're just kind of like, oh, the films that come out and they're in theaters for a little bit. No one really talks about them, and they fade away to obscurity, and then no one ever talks about them. Those are the worst types of film. Now, as somebody who studies the genre, I get what Walton was doing because you wanted to do something different. You wanted to subvert the genre, kind of like that. I get that. I do. As like a writer standpoint, it pisses me off because this means that none of the characters' decisions have consequences. It's basically it's the elaborate it was all a dream like style ending to it. Kind of he's like, oh well, what, nothing ever happened. It was a dream. Woke up, ha 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 ha. That's it. We all just go about our day.
And well, it was all a dream, and no one is changed from the experience of having
exactly. It would have been interesting to dive, like, if it would be interesting to dive, like, everything that happened in the movie was, like, the first act or the second act, and then maybe we see the trauma that Muffy experiences from all that. That could have been an interesting, so it's like a slasher, but not exactly a slasher kind of thing. That could have been really interesting, but yeah, it's just like hey, it's a joke, that's it. None of it really matters. Ha 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 ha. That's it. We got you, April Fools. Kind of thing. So that's personally that's how I feel about it, though.
There's a similar film,
and
for the life of me, I can't.
Actually, you know what? This is actually a good time for the audience to let us know. Was this film ahead of its time? Was it something that was subverting the genre, that's looking to change it and put it on its head? Or was it maybe like they tried to do that and failed? So is this film ahead of its time? So let us know in the comment section below.
I guess you could say that. I don't know. I think, did you actually, real quick on this one, did you know that the third act was actually not supposed to go that way?
Well, I'd heard a little bit that it was something of a last-minute change.
It was, the third act was supposed to be Skip, the brother, actually killing Muffy or Buffy for their father's inheritance. And so, like, there was actually supposed to be an actual murder in the original third act.
Oh, that could have made it interesting. Like, maybe one of their stunts goes wrong.
Well, yeah, but, like, there was, like, a whole, like, scenario behind there was, like, a whole backstory that, I don't know, I think probably could have made it a little better.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, the brother was supposed to kill her off for the inheritance during the whole thing.
Huh. That definitely would have made it. I honestly think that even though that would have been interesting to see, I don't think it would have done as well, financially. Because despite the fact that people hated this ending, people did go back to see it. It was a strong success. I mean, more than doubled its budget. Shot on $5 million, recouped $13 million and from the box office, and then of course a long, healthy, lifetime on VHS, DVD. We're sitting here 34 years later. We're talking about it now.
So, yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Yeah, we're still talking about it.
Exactly. So I think it was the right move, and I do think that. While I think that Walton was ahead of his time, I do not think that he knew he was ahead of his time. That Jack in the Box at the end, it tells me that he was legit just straight trying to do something different, and he knew it would piss people off. And that's why he added in the Jack in the Box as his fucking middle finger. Like, haha, you're not going to get one real fucking death in this whole goddamn movie. You came to see a slasher, and you didn't see shit.
Nobody died, bitch.
Nobody.
No one died. That movie had 0 body count. And that's why, if the Jack in the Box hadn't been there, and that final kill hadn't been there, then that would have been fine. But that would have said, okay, he's just observing. He's trying to be smart. He's just doing something different. But no, adding in the final fake death and the winking Jack in the Box. Ha ha. Yeah, that's him. That's not him being ahead of the curve or ahead of its time. That's him being, like, haha, fuck you.
That's it.
It's him being a dick, which I got to applaud him for because that's fucking ballsy.
He got away with it.
Yeah, he did. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so we actually got one more film left. Alex, what do we got?
One more. I'm last. Yay.
We want to get the show out before the fucking corona zombies come for us.
Yeah, no shit. I got the shotgun ready to go.
Hey, before you jump in there, it's 10:11.
Oh, we got a couple of minutes until the end of the world.
I wonder if we're actually see something out of this asteroid.
I don't know. Is
it even near us?
I
have no idea. Like, there's actually no information about it in the last 12 hours.
Yeah, I mean, the fucking thing could be hitting over the Pacific Ocean. We wouldn't see shit.
You're not gonna see nothing, dude. It's because it's gonna wipe us out.
Something like the air burst over Russia.
Everybody's gonna see something because it's a giant 100-mile meteor. It's gonna wipe us out. Like that one that was the size of the Empire State Building back in 2006 when they were like, so maybe, I don't know. Good luck.
Well, it's not getting light out. It's not getting light outside my window. And I don't think, and if we don't hear like a sonic boom, if we don't hear like a boom or anything, it's like 10:12 right now.
Yeah, the last thing that I saw was 11:15 Eastern.
Like 11:15?
Yeah, well, no, 10:15 for us.
So yeah, it's supposed to be like in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we will hear something. I don't know. I guess we'll continue on with the show, and
the show must go on.
If something crazy happens, we'll, I guess, recover best we can and then continue with the show.
Two of us are killed, and one. Well, it's just me now.
It's wiped out all communication. Everybody just pretend like we're talking to each other. And
we'll fix it in post.
Yeah, I want to see you fix that shit in post.
Yeah, fuck that. All right, so let's get on to our last movie. This one is Phantasm, March 28th, 1979.
Oh,
I think
I fucking love this movie.
It's our oldest movie tonight. See, I was watching this and I knew this was going to be something that you liked. This was going to be up your wheelhouse there in jail. This was starring Michael Baldwin, Bill Thornberry, Reggie Bannister, Kathy Lester, directed by Don Coscarelli. And it's essentially this boy and his brother are trying to figure out what this crazy grave robber dude is doing, stealing graves and shit, or stealing coffins and shit. This big tall man, scary man, and then there's all sorts of weird shit in there, like these little dudes that run around screaming at you, and those fucking balls that, what do they call them?
The spheres.
Whatever the spheres are.
The Sentinel spheres.
Yeah, it's the Sentinel spheres. But yeah, this grave robber just has a bunch of stupid, crazy weapons at his disposal, and he's filled with yellow goop in his finger. Oh my god. But yeah, those Sentinel spheres, man, that was crazy. Fucking just drill into your head and suck out all your blood.
Stab you in the face.
That was fucking terrible. I was watching that scene, and they went so in depth on this. Like, the dude pissed himself when he died. I did not notice that the first time when I watched this movie a long time ago. But yeah, that dude pissed himself. If you watch, you can see.
Huh.
But yeah, I don't know. Jared, you say you enjoy this film. I thought it was fucking fantastic for its time. And
yes,
just some of the stuff that's in it, you're like, wow, they really fucking went for it. Like when he sticks his hand in that little black box and then it disappears. I'm like, wow, they just fucking went for it, dude.
Dude, there was so much in Phantasm, and it's the story. Coscarelli's story, how he came to put this movie together. How it was predominantly financed by his father. The budget was roughly around $300,000.
Nice.
To little things. It's one of those epic stories of everything coming together just right, and so many different little pieces. And it's just a hallmark for how you want a horror film to go, but you do not expect it to do anything great, greater than what it currently is. Just you want to tell a really, really interesting story, one that's very arresting, one that's in my personal opinion is a masterclass in both cinematography, in set design, in lighting, and in acting as well, in creating an icon, in creating likable, followable characters that you can invest yourself in, and to leave enough questions that people will want to come back and try to like the little goblin dudes that help him out, these little helpers. Okay, why this guy, the tall man, who is is arguably one of the greatest horror icons next to Voorhees, next to Freddy, but he kind of stands in a realm all his own because no one ever hurts him. No one ever engages him in a real serious fight. He's just a force of nature that is there.
He's a juggernaut, bitch.
The spheres do all the work for him, and there's something about the Sentinel spheres themselves. It should be said, should be noted that the original spheres for the movie were actually designed by this elderly metal worker. He was an old man. He spent a lifetime doing metalworking, and this old man designed the spheres. I wish for the life of me I could remember the
Will Green.
name.
Yeah.
Will Green, that was it. And he designed it, but he passed away before he could see the final film. So he never got to see his greatest work come to fruition. Because, those spheres terrified the fuck out of its audiences. Out of the audiences that watch Phantasm. They were some of the scariest shit ever. And then you combine that with Angus Scrim, who I'm gonna go ahead and say I met Angus a couple of years before he passed, and such a stately is the only word I can cover. He was the quintessential British gentleman, is how he was when I met him. He was getting on. I mean, he would pass a couple of years later. It was very sad. I'm so glad I got to meet him very briefly, but still, even at his age, an imposing guy. I mean, the dude stood 6'4", didn't lose an inch till the day he died.
Damn.
Okay, impressive build, even in his final years. You could see him, and then of course you run this back, 1979. You got Angus Scrim as a tall man. He's 6'4". It's his decision to wear suits that are slightly too small, and to wear platform shoes. Okay, to really push that up, and then the way he walked, and of course, I'm not even going to try, but just the boy line, like that, stuff like that, all came from Angus.
Yeah, dude, like when he stops by the fucking freezer truck and turns and looks at him, it's like, whoa, that dude's creepy.
Yes, and just just little things like that he added to it that were added to the film, and then and then of course you take all of this, put it together, the visual spectacle of what Phantasm is, and then you can even get into its story and go deeper, because Coscarelli himself has said that the film is really is kind of an interpretive, what's the word? Not really a treatise, but it's very much about mourning and about death. Okay, because it centers around the protagonist is young, is just a kid, and
he's he's just a pussy.
his perspective of death and of dealing with the aftermath of death amongst horrific events. It's literally a natural occurrence that the normal everyday thing of having to deal with death and its after effects, surrounded by monsters. You could almost say that Joss Whedon took inspiration from this when he was creating Buffy, because the notion of Buffy the Vampire Slayer was high school is hell. Only in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it literally is hell, because there are monsters, there are vampires, and shit like this. But still, to us, it is hell. We deal with all the bullshit that high school. This is the same thing. It's a kid dealing with these normal everyday things, surrounded by all this scary horror shit.
Why is this happening? Like when he's fucking floating over his bed.
A classic Stephen King. You see all these ties. Like Joss Whedon would take inspiration from this. You can see the inspiration that Coscarelli got from Stephen King, where Stephen King is famously noted for saying that he loves creating rich, deep, organic characters and fleshing out their world, and then taking this lovable character that you just created, sticking him in the dark, and letting the monsters on him, just to see what would happen. And that's how he approaches it, which is what this is. We have likable protagonists. We have a terrifying villain. And a situation you can't control, which, given everything, probably, I would say a perfect horror film. It really was.
Well, they continued it for what, like 6 movies?
Mm-hmm. 5.
Was it 5?
It ended with Ravager, yeah. And then when I met Angus, he was promoting Ravager at the time.
Nice. Yeah, well, the movie, like you said, it was shot for $300,000, and then it grossed, like, almost $12 million. So he's like, maybe we're onto something here.
Yeah, it did well. And the thing is, with the horror market out there, you put a good product out there, it doesn't cost a lot to put a product out there, according, to, film budget number-wise. And then all of a sudden, you start a franchise. Like, just like that. There's no way he pictured it actually turned into a franchise while he's making the first one.
No, hell no. He just wanted to get it done. And see, just get out there and get it done, and you never know what the fuck's going to happen.
Yeah, get out and get it done. And, what's interesting is that Coscarelli actually took a lot of the images that he had nightmares about. That's actually where he got the idea from the Sentinel spheres. Because they were actually in his nightmares. And he remembered it, and he wrote it down. And that's when he actually started bringing the idea over to Will Green, in terms of Will Green being a metal worker at the time, and fashioned and built the actual spheres. Now, they changed it a little bit because, like, the drilling wasn't one of the features in the original ideas and stuff like that. They ended up modifying for that also. But yeah, it's just something that popped up. He had a nightmare about. He woke up, screaming. I'm picturing him screaming while waking up. And was like, oh my God, that's scary. I need to write that shit down.
First of all, somebody needs to stop feeding that boy sugar before bed. Maybe leave like a good 2-hour period where you're not eating anything before bed. And
that makes so much sense, because so much of the film is like walking a fine line between waking and dreaming. And
I really liked the pattern in the memorial hall. The pattern on the walls, like that marble.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that did so much for the movie. It made it feel like the Cube almost.
It was he definitely captured. Coscarelli definitely captured that moment where what I've always referred to him in kind of my own vernacular as like surface dreams, where you're in the process of waking up, but the dream is still kind of hanging on. So you're semi-conscious of the real world, semi-conscious of the dream. Sometimes they kind of blend together a little bit.
Right.
You get a little dose of reality, a little dose of dream, and it's really disorienting until you finally do wake up. And then the minute you wake up, half of it's gone. And it's just, just
try
like
sleep paralysis. You're pretty much explaining it.
Yeah, and there you go. An excellent example. I could see his, obviously in the technical craftsmanship that went into this film. You could feel the love that the people had for this when they were making it, when they were designing it. That the Coscarelli's vision was so palpable, and it just played out so perfectly. I would have loved to have been on the production on this one. I mean, if that's why I love horror, is you never know, you may be on the next Phantasm. So
yeah, that's true.
I got so tired watching that movie, man. They walk a lot in that movie. They're constantly walking this path. It's just back and forth through the same thing. The
Hemi-Cuda was pretty sweet.
Huh?
The Hemi-Cuda was pretty sweet.
Okay, dude, that thing was fucking cool shit. And yeah, I mean, you see it a few times, but most of the time they're like, that kid's running like a lot. He's constantly chasing his brother down. He's like fucking getting lost in town. I'm like, dude, that kid does he have a bike or something? He's driving the fucking Cuda in one scene of the movie, and then
well,
the 70s were a wild fucking time.
Well, when you can't get sets for long periods of time, you just have him move a lot.
Just run. Yeah, there's a lot of filler in there with the running. But, you know, and that makes it like that really speaks to the movie itself because they didn't need a whole lot of screen time to explain everything and hold your interest and scare you. You know, that they could just put that like filler in.
And I don't think there's a weak link in the franchise.
No.
Through all 5 of them. 2 was fantastic. 3, I think, succeeded even more. Just, you know, played on its strengths. 4 was really, really good and expanded the storyline so well. And then, of course, I think Ravager gave a... it wasn't the best of the franchise, but it competently wrapped up the entire storyline. In its very dreamlike, surrealistic, and absurd way. The only way Phantasm could possibly be wrapped up. I strongly I'd recommend it to any horror fan. If you haven't seen all 5 films, hey, we're all in fucking lockdown right now. Binge watch the shit.
You have no excuse now.
Binge that shit. Yes. Binge those 5 films. You will not fucking regret it.
Binge the 25 previous episodes of Week in Horror and then binge those films.
What? Oh, I thought I was expecting more.
No, binge all 25 episodes of Week in Horror and then binge watch those.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. You can binge. You can binge listen to that.
I see people post it all the time, like, "Oh, what horror movie should I be watching while I'm under lockdown?" And I'm like, "You have 25 episodes to check out once."
Yo, dude, we'll break them all down for you.
We have a lot of recommendations.
Spoiler alert: most of them are spoilers.
But you go see them anyway.
But hey, if you just read the descriptions,
hey, there you go.
Just read the descriptions, then you'll get all the titles you want. You can follow along with us if you so desire.
Exactly, that would be pretty awesome.
Dude, we're like fucking running commentaries and shit.
These fucking idiots went around the corner and got stabbed in the fucking face like a couple of dipshits. Man, I love these fucking audio directed movies.
We do a scene by scene. Exterior, diner. Guy walks in.
That dude looks like a douche. He's definitely gonna die. Moves towards the counter. Is an asshole to the waitress. Gets the key lime pie. What movie am I explaining? Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers. Sorry. Yo, you said key lime.
Yeah, it took a second.
The key lime's good. It looks like the fucking nastiest Jello pie you've ever seen in your life. Then they murder everybody except for that one dude. They're like, tell everybody.
Yeah,
it was a great movie.
When they ask you, you tell them Mickey and Mallory Knox did it.
Say Mickey and Mallory Knox
did it.
I love he's just a biker guy who's just silent the entire
time. Just some old fat dude.
He was like so ready to. He was like, whatever fucking happens right now is gonna fucking happen. Like, he's like ready to get shot or live. He doesn't know. He probably stopped eating Big Macs after that for sure. Though.
He was like that one guy who was like, "This is it. This is it." Give my cup of coffee while everybody else is dying all around him and stuff. He's like, "My time is coming."
This is it. Fucking dying. Everybody's freaking out. And he's like, and he's in front of the ATM too. You know, he just stopped in there to get some fucking cash. Like. He's like, really, dude? It's Wednesday. Who dies on a fucking Wednesday? Hey, we didn't. It's past 10:15 and the meteor never exploded.
Oh, all right.
I didn't hear anything.
All right, cool. Yeah, we get to live another day in our houses.
Yay. We phrase it like that.
So, given that all 5 films are available out there, I think that all 5 are on VOD. Across various, I know you can get them on YouTube.
You can get them all on fucking Amazon.
I think they're all on Amazon too. It's like that. My favorite is actually Phantasm 2. That's actually my absolute favorite out of the whole franchise. But
I think I could agree too. Yeah, definitely. I think we should ask the audience because, like you said, there's no weak link in any of them. So like you could love any one of these in your own respective way. Like there's the whole storyline and everything, but. You could even like just go watch 4 and then watch 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
It's just it's solid all the way through. There's not like so many franchises have that one that's like a really come on. But it's solid. It's a solid story through and through. And I mean honestly, like any of these can be your favorite. They really can.
For sure. Yeah, audience, let us know. Go watch them. Let us know. What was your favorite entry in that franchise? All right. I think we got a birthday and an in memoriam.
Yes, we do. But we're going to kick this off in memoriam. Born March 26, 1931. He passed away February 27th, 2015. We're doing an in memoriam for the legendary actor Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah, dude. Gone too soon.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, he was like, what, 84?
But still.
I wanted to take the opportunity. Well, I know not typically. Obviously, Leonard Nimoy was not a major horror actor. He spent the better part of 50 years playing Spock.
Spock.
Yes, but he had the man. He was a man of many talents. He was an actor. He was a director. He was a writer. He was a musician. He was a songwriter. He was a poet. There wasn't anything the man did not touch. That just across the board. And the reason I wanted to give him a shout out is because one of his final major performances was his role in the J.J. Abrams produced show Fringe, where he actually played a villain. He was the villainous William Bell, and I love that show. It's absolutely perfect in my eyes. It ran like Breaking Bad. It ran the perfect length of time. It was 5 years. It was only 5 seasons. The storyline wrapped up greatly. It's about fringe science, which I fucking love, and the kind of terror that comes along with that kind of uncharted territory of science. And Leonard Nimoy was so excellent in that show, playing a bad guy. I really enjoyed it. I wanted to give Leonard a shout out. Kind of talk a little bit about the influence he's had, because we all grew up with him.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Oh yeah, he is one of the very few celebrities that passed, and I was like, it hit me because this was somebody I grew up watching Star Trek with my mom, and he played, he was very instrumental in pushing Star Trek even after the original show was canceled, pushing to get the films made. And then once the films got made and the films became successful, he directed the third and fourth Star Trek movie, and to help generate the franchise again, because then you get the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and all this other kind of stuff that came right back. And now we can't even imagine a world without Star Trek. But at that time, when the show was canceled, the original series was canceled, most people thought that was the end. Like that was it. And so he pushed it. He was heavily involved in it. And not to mention a lot of his voice work. And so I was doing some research on him, and he was on Duckman. I don't know if y'all remember that cartoon show.
Yes, he was.
Whoa, that was... You reached way back there, man.
I was going through, I was like, what? I couldn't remember that show actually existed for a long time, because I saw a handful of episodes, in the 90s, and then I've never seen anything about it since.
It just died. I totally forgot.
It did, kind of thing. And so
totally forgot.
With Duckman, he also did voice work on Kingdom Hearts, the video game.
Didn't everybody though? I think I even did some voice work on that.
But yes, I mean, definitely somebody who is an icon.
Definitely. And you know what? He did so much good work, and he's up there resting. Not missing anything down here, man. Fucking world's just going crazy like usual.
I'd have to say, for anybody that is a fan of Leonard Nimoy, if you've not gotten the opportunity, he published he published several books. And there were many documentaries about him. I think For the Love of Spock was one of the best. But if you get the opportunity, he wrote 2 autobiographies. One called I Am Not Spock, which he wrote in 1975. And one called I Am Spock, which he wrote 20 years later in 95. And both of them were because he was Spock, and he was so important at the beginning in 1975 because he first played the character in 64. So he wrote this book like 11 years after he first debuted as Spock. And it was Spock was so indelible, and everybody loved it. He was so beloved. And he was at that point as an actor, much younger, as a younger actor younger now by comparison, but that he did not want to be known only as Spock.
Right.
So it was kind of like how Spock was encroaching on his life. And then 20 years later, we're post TNG. He's gotten to come back and play Spock again, this time across from Patrick Stewart. And
Yeah.
and now in his embracing of Spock, and that's who he was, because he played that character from 1964 to 2013. Always
Jesus,
coming
yeah, I
back.
guess that's fucking so long.
He was the voice of Spock. He was the physical. Anytime he was animated, anything at all, it was always Leonard Nimoy. And so, anybody who has not read those books, I strongly recommend them. I think they're funny, they're poignant, written in only the way that Leonard Nimoy could present it, being that this is my life with this character, who invariably took it over. Like, there was difficulty there for him, and that's why I love the first book so much. Because unlike Patrick Stewart, who we'll always know him as Picard. Hell, he's playing Picard again right now. 20 years, or 30 years after the last. How long since Nemesis came out? When Tom Hardy was just a baby.
Something like that. Something like early 2000s.
Yeah, and all of a sudden here we go. Here we have Picard back again. So it's being along with him on his adventures as Spock. But given I don't want to shake. I just don't want to shake a stick at his body of work is so phenomenal as an actor, as a director, as a voice actor, as a writer, as a poet. It is definitely something any fan could dive into and really take away a lot from. I think it was there was the thing that struck me is because he was on Twitter, and a few days before he passed away, he shared some of his poetry in a tweet. Aww. And to quote him was, "A life is like a garden. Perfect moments can be had, but not preserved except in memory."
Rest in peace,
Rest
bro.
in peace.
And he signed it with LLAP.
Damn.
Well, that made my heart sad.
Live long and prosper.
That made my heart sad.
He's such a monument of a person. And from what his kids said, from what his kids have said of him, he never took himself very seriously. He enjoyed what he had when he had it. Acting was not the end all be all. Spock was not his end all be all, but it was something that was as much part of him as he was a part of it. And he simply accepted that at one point. And that's why it was so excellent to see him in Fringe. His final, aside from, I know he popped up in the Star Trek movies, in the J.J. Abrams films. He popped up there, but they weren't extreme. There was you come in, do a cameo, and then you leave. Whereas in Fringe, he had an ongoing storyline. And it was so far removed from the concept of Spock. And his work, his back and forth with John Noble on that show is absolutely phenomenal to watch. You get to see a side of the man and a side of the performer that you didn't really get to see before. So I strongly recommend anybody who has not seen those episodes to check that out, because Leonard Nimoy will blow you away in those. There's so much we could say about him, but now I'm getting a little misty myself.
I know. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to keep it together. He's somebody who, in terms of pushing an entire genre, and because I didn't know that he had the books, I Am Not Spock and I Am Spock, because at the time, for the longest time, nerd culture and sci-fi culture was niche art, a niche genre. It had its you had your few followers and stuff like that, and seeing how I'm glad he's got the opportunity to see it become mainstream. That now it's like, Star Trek movies were just for nerds back in the day, and now Star Trek movies are for everybody. And people are able to dive so deep in the Star Trek culture on it, so deep, and, just signing off, live long and prosper. I can't think of a better way to sign off. I can't.
Head knock ass.
I was suddenly thinking about it. He was Spock. He was on the Enterprise. boldly going where no man has gone before, and that came out in '64, and we went to the moon in '69.
Yeah.
You gotta
New
wonder.
things.
You gotta wonder his presence as a part of that crew of the USS Enterprise helped to kind of inspire America in its goal to get to where it was going, to push a little bit harder, to look on TV. We see this. We say, you know what? We may not be going to other planets and distant galaxies, but we can go to the next body right next door. That we can do that.
And a lot of scientists have claimed that like Star Trek and especially Spock has been a huge inspiration. That's why they got to science after watching Star Trek. And I've always felt like with Star Trek is what humanity could be if we put aside our differences. Like Star Trek is like the best form. Like this is everything we can accomplish if we simply just work together, because there's no internal wars on Earth. You don't have these different factions and all this other kind of stuff, and it's still have countries and stuff like that, but Earth as a whole, the human race as a whole, works together.
Hey, we've got an opportunity to practice that right now with the world falling apart.
Absolutely.
Leonard Nimoy, forever in our hearts. His impact on our lives will be everlasting. It really will be.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace.
Oh,
Sleep well.
okay. Little misty on that one. So we'll cheer up a little bit, and we'll Eugene, you've got our birthday for the week.
Okay, so we have one of my favorite actors, born March 27th, 1971. He may be one of the most charismatic actors like to date, and that is Nathan Fillion.
Castle.
Fucking Malcolm Reynolds.
Fucking, yeah, that's right. Mal from Firefly.
Mal means bad.
Yes, it does. Or Gary from Santa Clarita Diet.
I am still hurt because, okay, this is totally opposite, but I read just the other day, after I'd written this script, I ran across a Cyanide and Happiness script. They do a webcomic series for those not familiar with it, and they usually just do like very rudimentary drawn figures, and it was so funny because it was the two characters meet, and one says, "Hey, I like your shirt. What is that, a TV show?" He's like, "Yeah, it's Firefly." Firefly? Is it any good? He's like, "Oh my god, the first season is amazing." And the guy's like, "How was the second season?" And the other dude just falls down crying. and it lasts like 3 panels. Just weeping on the ground. Like,
It's not.
how was the second season? Oh. But
Fuck.
yes, Nathan Fillion, God bless him. Probably gave us the Space Cowboy.
Yeah, I mean, head of its time. We were talking about earlier, movies and things that are ahead of their time. Firefly was ahead of its time.
Oh yes.
When it came out,
Yes, and unfortunately,
Fox did not. Fox did not know what they had. They really didn't. And the thing is, with TV at the time, you had sitcoms that were really big at that time, and then you had dramas that, are big and stuff like that. And the thing is it didn't fit into either one because it was too funny to be a drama, but it was too serious to be a sitcom. So Fox gave up on it, not realizing this is something that's going to model TV for the next 20 years. Or, it continues to model TV today. We get these shows where we have good guys that'll do bad things, and then we'll have bad guys that'll make funny jokes and crack jokes here and there, but then you have a serious matter that'll go on top of that, and, it's the formula for modern television today.
Yeah. It's a fucking great show.
And you gotta love the throwbacks to In Castle that showed up to show his love for Firefly. I don't know how much of the show you actually watched, Alex, but in Castle there were at least 6 or 7 nods to Firefly in that show alone. Just I guess
I never really picked them out.
Yeah, little simple things like where Castle is going to a crime scene, and he's putting on his gloves, and then he's putting on the gloves before he goes to a crime scene, and then he lifts his hands up to look at him like he's kind of half remembering something, and they're the light blue gloves. Okay, we're just kind of like, huh, and he's just kind of looking at him like, huh. And then he carries on. Or some things like there was a Halloween episode of Castle where he comes out, he's like, okay, you ready? And he comes out dressed like Malcolm Reynolds.
Oh, damn.
And then his daughter on the show was like, oh, come on, Dad, Space Cowboy again? He's like, what? I liked it. He's like, you wore that like 5 years ago. He's like, look, it is just, I really enjoy that. I enjoy the look. See? And he does like a Malcolm Reynolds pose. He's like, Space Cowboy. And then she's like, Dad, there are no cows in space. So, but there were throwbacks all throughout Castle. Joe's love for it. And of course, his work with Joss Whedon also gave his Dr. Horrible sing-along blog, where he played Captain Hammer. Absolutely hysterical shit. I'm surprised you haven't seen that, Alex. It's a web series, or I think it was like a webisode.
No, you actually cut out.
Oh, Dr. Horrible sing-along blog.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yes, where he played Captain Hammer.
Yeah.
The hammer is my penis. But I also got to give him props because he's shown up in so much. His voice work in the Halo series, which I'm a giant fan of. Halo 3, Halo ODST, Reach, and the Destiny 2. He's done a ton of work with Bungie and with 343 Industries because he was also in Halo 5 Guardians. God dang, I don't think there's a place he hasn't touched. And for anybody who hasn't seen it, his work with Alan Tudyk
Con Men.
on Con Men. Or
yeah,
Con Man.
Con Man.
Yes, he was absolutely hysterical in that. So, but
and he was in that one. It's called The Rookie.
Yeah, he's John something. I think he's John
Nolan
is his character on that. Yeah, I was expecting to be kind of like another procedural. I actually hear it's pretty fucking good.
That's what I was hearing too. And I think that just was it the first episode? No, they got like a whole season out, don't
they? Have a couple seasons.
Yeah, I think so.
And he's going to be in the upcoming Suicide Squad movie.
I did hear about that. He's working with James Gunn again, or who's directing that?
I don't remember. I think it was going to end up being like a standalone in the series.
Yeah, it's being directed by James Gunn.
Okay, yeah.
Because he signed on to that during his little brief hiatus from Disney after that crap came out. So he jumped on to help to do Suicide Squad for DC,
that.
and then after that he's coming back to do Guardians 3. But the two of them, James Gunn and Fillion, because Fillion had voice work in Guardians.
Yeah, the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Was it Guardians 2?
Actually, the first one. Yeah.
Was it the first one? Okay. But they also worked together on Slither.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes to
fucking Slither. I forgot about that one. Oh, man. Hey, when do we do that movie?
That one's coming up here soon.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
And looking at that, it's kind of like... looking at that, you can see that he makes lifelong friends. Consistently working with Joss Whedon, with James Gunn, with Alan Tudyk,
Alan's got 2 whats?
I'm a leaf on the wind.
Watch how I soar.
Now, I know one of the things, I was actually pretty excited about it. I'm a huge fan of the Uncharted series for the video games.
Oh, yes.
And so people have been clamoring for a Nathan Fillion live-action Uncharted series movie. And we actually got an action fan film where Nathan Fillion plays Nathan Drake. And it is extremely well done. It is. You check it out on YouTube. I think it's like 15 minutes or something like that. And, it's just a straightforward him dealing with some bad guys and him trying to escape and stuff like that. But the fact that everybody's been like, you should do it, you should do it, you should do it. And then he actually went out and did a fan film for it is really awesome.
We can always hope. Fingers crossed.
I'm hoping. One day.
Do it. Make a Firefly movie. Do math.
He may be pulling a Deadpool on that, is what he's trying to do.
And, and see,
That'd be
that's what I think
hilarious.
he's trying to do because he could play Nathan Drake so well. Now he's already proven it. Get some momentum behind it. And the thing about the Uncharted series is like the story is so riveting on its own. You don't have to focus so much on, oh, well, how do you adapt the gameplay or anything like that. You just follow the story.
Yeah.
Nice. I downloaded that game and never played it, so maybe I'll give it a
It's
shot.
fun. It's really fun.
It was free 1 month, so I've got it sitting in my library.
I'm also going to throw out another quick one for anybody who hadn't seen it. An early James Gunn superhero movie called Super with Rainn Wilson.
I haven't
Lesser
seen
known.
it.
I think I want to say I've seen it.
It's actually it's funny because it's actually set in the same universe as James Gunn's Brightburn, the Superman horror story.
Right.
Right. So, but in the movie Super, there is it's basically about a normal guy who decides to become a superhero, and obviously it's crazy, insane, violent, lots of nastiness. But there's a recurring thing throughout the entire show where there is this religious superhero that appears on television doing like these little PSAs. Okay, like using like the light of the Holy Spirit as a superpower and shit, and teaching kids abstinence and stuff. And that character is played by Nathan Fillion.
Okay.
So I got.
So I'm looking it up. It came out back in 2010 with Liv Tyler and Ellen Page in it. Yeah, Nathan Fillion. I haven't seen this
I
one.
want to check it out then.
Calling himself the Crimson Bolt.
Yeah, that was Rainn Wilson's character. The whole like shut up crime.
Yeah. Shut up, crime.
Shut up crime.
Oh, that's fun. I'll have to check that out.
I recently got
The superhero, the Christian superhero named Bible Man.
But was it Bible Man? No, it
Oh, it
was
says-
the
oh, no,
Holy,
in the-
the Holy
The
Avenger.
Okay. Based on the actual Christian superhero series Bible Man. A superhero from a public access television show. This sounds great.
It's fucking hysterical.
I'm going to watch this.
The little things he contributes to the stuff he's done. Like, I know he did voice work. Yeah, obviously, he's been the voice of Hal Jordan for a long time. Ezgio's Green Lantern and for DC. But he's done voice work in The Venture Brothers, which is excellent. Big Mouth on Netflix. He's funny as hell in that. So much work across the board. He's such a joy to watch, and I
He's
cannot
great.
wait for his Suicide Squad to come out because I know he's going to bring some much needed. I would say he's going to bring better levity to that than anybody else did in the first one.
Oh yeah, agreed. I'm looking forward to it.
Hell yeah!
Bring it on.
All right, well, happy birthday!
Yeah, happy
Nathan.
birthday.
Happy birthday. God, you're looking pretty good for being born in 71 there, dude. Right on. All right, well, that wraps up another Week in Horror episode. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening, tuning in. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you. Now, in the midst of a pandemic, we're stuck in here doing it for you. So any feedback, comments, questions, anything you got, send it our way. We got time to answer your emails. Talk to us. We're scared and lonely. Shoot our questions over to weekinhorror@gmail.com. You can listen to us wherever you're listening to us now, but also on Anchor, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, literally anywhere. So if Google shuts down, go find us on Spotify. Go check out our Patreon page. If you don't mind, patreon.com/weekinhorror. We have a couple of our episodes of our Bloodbath and our After Dark up for you to listen to, and I believe we've got one rolling out coming out of that bank and coming out to you. Did that already roll out?
That'll come out April 1st.
April 1st.
Will be the next Bloodbath debate.
We'll drop one for you. You can listen to it if you like it. Think about supporting us. Throw a couple bucks, and you can have those early every month. Go to facebook.com, Week in Horror. Get your daily splatter, a little bit of horror history every day. Some cool little factoids in there. We really like when you guys reach out to us on those and kind of discuss movies on there.
Yeah, and ignore the fact that Rumor keeps copying us.
Fucking room work.
My
We can see you doing it. We can see you.
My fellow co-hosts have informed me that I should take this as a compliment, that mimicry is the highest form of flattery. But I find it funny that Rumorg is not like... We had our Daily Splatter going on since, November of last year, maybe September of last year, and then all of a sudden, not 6 weeks ago, Rumorg started doing their own calendars. So you know what, Chief? We're on to you. We're on to you.
But we're flattered.
But we're on to you.
Come at me, bro. Cough on you. All right, and also get us on Twitter, too. You can go on there at Week in Horror. We're on Twitter. I don't understand the whole twittering thing, but we've got a very awesome team member behind the social media stuff. JL, thanks for that.
I do my
doing
best.
A great job. You're doing a great job.
Trying to give bits of horror information, 140 characters. That takes a talent I did not have, but I'm developing it.
Hey, you're like our social media guru and HR combined into one.
That is true.
Definitely check us out on Twitter. And seriously, we're just as bored as you, so interact. We'll get back to you fairly quickly. Thanks, guys. Love you.
Thank you.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Eugene.
And I'm JL.
And somebody's coughing in the background. So we'll see y'all next week. And as always, stay scared and clean. Wash your fucking hands.